in which no one had yet been buried. So they laid Jesus there because of the Jewish preparation day, for the tomb was close by. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. It is finished, Jesus said, and then he died. Pope Francis said, how beautiful it will be when we all, at the end of our lives, with our errors and our faults, as well as with our good deeds and our love of neighbor, can say to the Father as Jesus did, it is finished. His love is everlasting. Last night, we celebrated the Lord's Supper, the gift of the Eucharist and the gift of the priesthood. And the gospel told us Jesus loved his own to the end. Judas, who betrayed him for 30 pieces of silver, Jesus loved him to the end. Peter, who denied him 3 times, Jesus loved him to the end. The other 10 who abandoned him when he most needed them, Jesus loved them to the end. His love is everlasting, and we are his forever. Those are the words of our loving God to us over and over. One of the saints was meditating on the passion of Jesus, and he was moved by the sufferings, both physical and emotional suffering of Jesus. And in the silence of his heart, he listened as Jesus said to him, don't look at what I suffered for you, because that's over. But look at how much I love you, because that is forever. His love is everlasting. The Catholic TV station in Boston has a saying, and Bishop Bob Reed uses it often throughout the day. And that saying is, it is all for you. Holy Week, every week of the year, it is all for us, because Jesus is always for us. Each time we participate in the Passion, we are deeply moved by the infinite love and mercy of God for each one of us. We're sinners. Life reminds us of that. Pope Francis says it over and over. But we are redeemed sinners. And that's what Jesus says to us over and over. We just saw the price of our redemption, the life, and the death, and the resurrection of Jesus our God, and always the resurrection. Because that's who Jesus is. No matter what life touches us, whether we suffer or people that we love suffer, whether someone that we love dies or when we die, there is the faithful promise of our God of the resurrection. And when we look with the eyes of faith, we see the suffering and the death and the resurrection of Jesus in everyday life. I read a story about a religious sister who was a counselor in a woman's prison. And she sat with the woman, a single parent, imprisoned for stealing, so that she would have money to bury her 2 small children that were killed by a drunk driver. And the sister looked at her and she said, all I could do was listen and pray, because I knew from life the power of prayer. And at night, she said, she thought, everything is filled with God. And so everything is filled with love, even when we don't see it. And she said, that woman for me is Jesus crucified. And after a few sessions, the woman smiled through her tears and she said to her, thank you, sister. I see the eyes of Jesus in your eyes. Yes, everything is filled with love, because God is ever present, even when we don't see it. Every day we walk with Jesus crucified and with Jesus risen. He's always with us. We are redeemed sinners. We are a resurrected people. And yes, it's all for us, because Jesus is all for us. That's who he is, and that's who we are to him. Truly, his love is everlasting.